Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of English with Chris presents English Word of the Day. Today's word of the day is anxious. Anxious. Anxious is an adjective, and the definition characterized by extreme uneasiness of mind or brooding fear about some contingency. Worried. So, I think everyone has been anxious at some point in their lives, possibly quite often, especially with the last few years with the events that's been going on. So let's have a deeper look. Examples here we have people who fear being in pain or are anxious about it are up to twice as likely to develop chronic pain after undergoing an operation. Hyder Warak, Scientific American, 8th of September 2022. So here in this example, they're saying that according to this research, people who are afraid of being in pain or are worrying about an operation or about having pain during an operation are twice or up to twice as likely to actually develop chronic pain after an operation. So that itself is quite worrying. um, so the key here, I guess, is to try not to worry, which is usually what we try to do. But yes, that's quite stark. Our next example here, younger consumers' mental wellness is disproportionately impacted. 2/3 of millennials and Gen Z reported feeling anxious over their finances. Caitlin Koterbsky, Fortune, 27th July 2022. Yeah, so here it's saying that disproportionately impacted. So it's saying that younger consumers are the majority in terms of mental wellness being impacted. So it's negatively affected. So 2/3 in Gen Z reported feeling anxious over their finances. So finances, their money, their wealth, if they can afford to pay the bills, if they're able to buy a property of their own, etc. And this last one, research shows people who spend a lot of time on their computer tend to feel more anxious in general. CNN, 14th of August 2022. So this is people that spend a lot of time on their computer. They tend to feel more anxious. I don't know what the reason for this is. I can assume, of course, that maybe we're exposed to more news and we see more. If we're online, there's always some news headlines, something negative that's happening somewhere in the world. Now, for example, um, if you keep track of your finances, you'll notice that a lot of countries are having a knock-on effect in terms of their currency. And in the UK, the pound has dropped quite significantly. So this would be something that a lot of people would be anxious about, something that you would be worried about. I myself, I'm usually anxious about how a video is going to perform. I might have a video that's relatively successful. So for me, relatively successful is maybe about 20 or 30 views. And then I might have a period in which I have very little views, such as now, actually. Now I am quite anxious about my videos because the last 4 or 5 have either had no views or under 5 views. And that induces anxiety in me because, of course, I'm still spending the same amount of time producing the videos, and if they're not going to do very well, then of course it makes me question if I'm doing the right thing or what I'm doing wrong, if I'm doing something wrong. So, another example there of anxious. Okay, so some synonyms. We have nervous, distressed, concerned, uneasy, and apprehensive. These are all things as well. If you have to give a speech and you're not sure how it's going to go, these are all things, again, you could be feeling. Next up, we have our etymology. Etymology for anxious, adjective. 1620s, greatly troubled by uncertainties, from Latin anxious. Solicitous, uneasy, troubled in mind, also causing anxiety, troublesome, from angera, angura, to choke, squeeze, figuratively to torment, cause distress, from pi root ang, tight, painfully constricted, painful. The same image is in Serbo-Croatian, Českoba, anxiety, literally tightness, narrowness, meaning earnestly desirous, as in anxious to please, is from 1742. So this is a very good word to know. Anxious is a word that a lot of languages don't really have. I know, for example, in German, I always struggle to convey anxious because in German, if you try to translate this with something like Google Translate, you'd get something like angst, which is fear, and anxiety is a type of fear, but it isn't fear. It's not like you're you're just afraid of something per se. So this is a very nice word to know. It's a good word to try to start using because it's one that we do use a lot. So hopefully you find it useful. And as always, if you did enjoy the video, please do consider subscribing, liking, sharing, or commenting. All of those things help me out tremendously. And it ensures that we can see each other tomorrow for another video. So I hope you're all enjoying your day and continue to do so. Take care, all the best, and bye for now. Bye bye.